Oh, hey guys. Hi. Welcome back to the Rusty Beauties garage. Today we're going to be finally installing this J-type Overdrive onto this transmission that we replaced the main shaft on in the last video. So we installed a J-type Overdrive. We used to have an A-type Overdrive on that because this transmission came with an A-type Overdrive that was not working. And as we looked at it, it turned out that the parts involved in repairing it would cost more than the whole entire overdrive. So what we decided was to change it to a J-type overdrive, which is this one here. So we replaced the main shaft on the transmission, and as we had it taken apart, we also overhauled it. We changed some bearings, we changed the synchro rings, we replaced one snapped bushing, the one for second gear, which is a weak spot for these transmissions. And now we are at a spot where we can start actually installing the overdrive onto the transmission. However, this overdrive came in this state. It's pretty dirty on the outside. At least inside it's clean because it was covered with piece of plastic here, which is good. But again, before installing it, I want to clean here a little bit where we're not going to have access after. We tested it, we energized the solenoid, it clicks, it does something inside. We put it under pressure with some air and the clutch and everything inside is moving. The operating pistons are moving and everything, but we don't know if it's working or not because the air is only 110 psi, the compressed air that I have in the garage. But in operation mode, when there's oil inside and the pump is pumping up and down, it has about 450 psi, I believe. So we couldn't figure out whether it's working or not. So the only way to test it is actually by installing it on the transmission, filling up everything with oil, and installing it on my testing rig, and then we're gonna see if actually it is gonna engage and how it is gonna work. So we're gonna assemble it now, and hopefully we're not gonna need to take it apart, but we have in mind that maybe that's gonna need to happen. Also, we need to install this adapter plate on the transmission, which goes like this, so we can install the overdrive on it, but it's pretty dirty, so I'm gonna clean that next. And then I'm gonna bring you back and we're gonna start assembling. So let's get crack-a-lacking. All right, I cleaned the adapter plate, nice and clean now. And now we can install it on the transmission. I'm gonna use my favorite Permatex Forma gasket sealer. As many of you know, I eat it for breakfast with a little bit of rust. It is great. I'm gonna put a little bit on the two mating surfaces and on both sides of the gasket. Okay, I'll put the gasket there first and stick it. I'm gonna start all the bolts first before we tighten them. Make sure that they go through the gasket. Okay. Okay, they're all going in. So now, very important part. So these are the two parts that made together, right? This shaft goes inside there. But very important, this is the oil pump that pumps oil all the time and creates the 450 psi that we were talking about. But what drives this pump is a cam that comes here on this shaft. And this cam, as it spins, it pushes the pump up and down. And when we got the overdrive, this cam was missing, but we ordered it and it came, and now we have it. So we have to make sure that it fits It's from most motors. It's part number 866830. That's what it says here. There you go. It doesn't have a direction, but it goes on the shaft like this. And as the shaft spins, it drives this pump up and down and pumps pressure. So I'm not going to put it for now, but we're not going to forget it. I'm not going to put a gasket, but I'm going to do a test fit to see if the overdrive is going to fit there, because that's a very tricky part. All the splines inside need to align in order for this to go through. So let's do a dry fit, and if it fits well, then we're going to put the cam, we're going to put the gasket, and we're going to slide it in. Easy to say, I know. Hopefully it's not hard to be done. So, moment of truth. Dun, 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 dun. Drum roll, please. Nope. Okay. Oh, look at that. Fits like a glove. That's good. That's actually very good news. So, then let's put the cam, let's put the gasket and assemble it. Okay, so our cam goes like this. Make sure that it locks with the key here. So there's a key that goes into the key channel here. Woodruff key, as they call it. So now we're gonna tap it all the way. Okay. Well, I don't know why we have these notches here on the gasket, but it looks like if we put it this way, each notch matches with one of these slots here. I guess this is for oil drainage, so that's how it needs to go. So now I'm going to turn the cam down, this cam, to point down, because here from gravity it's probably easier, I don't know, to keep the pump down, but we will see. And let's hope now that it's going to go well again. Perfect. So here there was a stud missing, but we're gonna put a bolt instead. Okay, so we are almost ready to start testing it, you know? Well, not really. I want to do one more thing. So inside here there is a seal that I'd like to see if we can change, because now that we are here, it would be a shame if we don't. Huh. Okay, so here I'm gonna try and use the method that I've used before, but some people commented on my videos before and told me some other methods too, so we will see. If my method doesn't work, we're gonna try the other ones. So we're just gonna run a screw which we are hoping to hit the edge of the bearing underneath, like this. Nope, not really. There you go. There you go. But what other people told me too, which sounds interesting, I never tried, but you can try with this way. You can put a screw inside, and with this type of hammer, you can just pull it out like this. Maybe that would be easy, but again, I used my method that I learned from Cutworm 59. What are you doing, brother? you haven't been active lately. So this is our new seal with the open part in towards the oil. We put some lubrication here to make it easy to go in. And we're gonna tap it in. Don't make me put you on the press. Okay, you wanna play with me? Then I'm gonna play with you, okay. Let's take this old gear and I'm gonna do this. Huh. You wanna play with me? I'll play with you, okay? This is not really good. So we're gonna have to clean this up and polish it a little bit because this is where the seal rides and we want it clean. With some 600 sandpaper, we're gonna clean it. We're gonna put some WD-40 on the paper. Okay. Ooh, brand new. Okay. It's not pitted or anything, so it's good. Never leave the key on the lathe. And I always do. Okay, we're gonna put some assembly glue here as well, so we don't put it dry on the seal. Okay. All right, now we are ready to fill it up with oil, put on the cover and test it. And yes, we're gonna do that in this order. First, we're gonna fill it up with oil because it's easier, we can see the level, we can make sure that we fill up also the overdrive with oil, and then we'll put the cover, the top cover on. Actually, I'm gonna put it on now because I'm done for today, because I don't have oil, but in the morning I'm gonna go buy oil, I'm gonna fill it up, I'm gonna put the cover on permanently, and we're gonna go from there. Tomorrow we're gonna open it again and finish it. Ta-da! It's a few days later and I've done some preparations here for the final testing. If you remember my testing rig for transmissions that I used for a GT6 transmission that I worked on, it worked pretty well at that time, but this motor was really weak for what we were doing. It was like a third, I think, 1/3 horsepower. I have this one, which I took out of this compressor over there that Chef Tash gave me. The compressor part is done, so I just took out the motor. This is 1 horsepower, so we will see if it works well. I'm just gonna keep it here as a permanent thing on this rig. And I have the switch for it. I took out of the compressor. The switch is of course controlled by pressure, but we're never gonna have high pressure here, so it is always gonna be on unless I turn it off from here. So we're gonna get there. So the transmission, I got this non-detergent SA30 oil that we're gonna use to fill it up. I like this oil. I know that there are many discussions. People have different preferences about the oil. Some use automatic transmission fluid, some use even engine oil, 20W50. I like this one because it is in the specs. It says that it can be used for low pressure hydraulic systems. I guess we're gonna need about 1 3/4 liter. This is 1 liter. So anyway, so we need to fill it up, and that's why I left the cover open. But there's one more thing that we need to do, and I forgot last time. We need to take a look at the speedo assembly here, because there's an O-ring and a seal that sometimes go bad, and it's now that we're here, it's a good idea to change them. So let's do that, and then I'm gonna finish setting up my jig here. I'm not gonna involve you in that, and once it's set up, we're gonna start testing. So it turns out that I only ordered the O-rings. Somehow I missed the seal, but then I went through my parts and I found another seal that I have from I believe that's from Reamers. Yeah, Reamers, it says it on the bag. So I have another one which is for a Spitfire, but they are the same. I checked and they are the same. So, but anyway, so I'm gonna use it here. So this is the shaft, and this around it is the body where the O-ring goes. There you go. So here is where the O-ring goes, and here is where the seal goes. So let's clean this and replace them. So again, on the vise with the soft jaws, see how easy it is going to be to take this seal out. Oh, not too hard. Good. So I'm going to take out the seal, the O-ring as well. Okay. So we're going to put some assembly lube on the new seal. A little bit down the hole there, just so it doesn't go dry. So that's 10 mil socket, works great. And now the new O-ring. Just gonna use some of this lube here to make it wet. There you go. So the shaft goes in again. And the threads for the speedo cable. Okay, done. However, we have a small problem here. But this is the port where I have to connect my pressure gauge, and it's underneath. So if I put it flat on my stand, on my rig, I'm not gonna be able to do my pressure gauge. So I have to figure out another way. But anyways, I'll figure this out, and I'm gonna prepare everything, and I'm gonna bring you back. All right, so this is my setup. The motor is replaced. We have the possibility now to change speeds even. Hopefully, at least on the first one, we're gonna be able to spin it, because if we go here and there, that's gonna be really hard on the motor, but we will see that. So everything is assembled. I'm hoping that the weight of the motor can act as a tensioner, because you see it's on a hinge. It's literally on a hinge. It's a door hinge. So we'll see if that's gonna work. If not, we can always run a long screw from here to there and tension it this way. And on this side, I cut a big hole here on the stand, and now I'm able to use this port here for the pressure gauge. This pressure gauge I got from J-type. Here is, I have a business card somewhere that came with it. He has one that works for A and D type. He has one that works for J-type and one that works for LH. I have no idea what that is, but that's the information of J-type. It costed me $57 altogether, plus I paid $14 for international shipping because he's in the States. So anyways, it's time now to take out the cover. We need to clean the covers. I haven't cleaned the cover from the silicone before, but we're gonna take the cover off and we're gonna fill it up. We're gonna fill up the transmission with oil, and then we're gonna put the new gasket there, and we're gonna go from there. All right, it's time to fill it with oil. And now when I look from outside, I can see that the filler hole is right under this rib here. I don't know if you see it, but just, we're gonna fill it just to this level. All right, somewhere there, but I think we should tip it a little bit and make sure that there are no empty spaces in the overdrive, you know. There are oil passages between the overdrive and the transmission, so I'm gonna tip it a little bit. Yep. That actually sucked a little bit of oil. I'm gonna turn it manually. Okay, well, I'm gonna add a little bit more because the level went down. So I'm gonna add a little bit more and we're gonna call it a day. Alright, so we have gasket maker on both surfaces, here, and we have both sides of the gasket as well. And now we can put the cover on, and this is pretty straightforward. There's only one thing that you have to be careful about. So these forks go on the two sliders, of course, but this is the selector for the reverse gear, so you have to make sure that it matches here, you know, because you can easily forget about that and then you're not gonna have reverse gear. So you can see it from the side usually. Oh, we are in gear. Okay, so that's neutral. Okay, it went right where it was supposed to go. And now I can put the bolts. Okay, so we are ready for the test. So the cover is on, and I made also a setup here so we can hold the gauge up. I have a power source over there, and when I connect the power source to the solenoid, you hear the solenoid clicking. So we're ready. The switches we're not gonna test because we tested them when it came. Well, we might test them later, we'll see. But let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, so we are in the lower speed, we are in neutral, and the solenoid is off. So let's see if it is gonna spin at all. Oh my god. Okay, so turned out these flanges here were not centered to each other, and that's why it was so wobbly. We adjusted that. I ran a screw here because it was the belt was too loose with only with the weight of the motor. And now we're ready to actually test it. So now it spins. So let's see if it is going to build pressure when I connect it. There you go. Good pressure, it's 450 going up and down. I guess it's going to take a while to get rid of the air inside the oil, inside the system. Okay, but that's in neutral, so let's put it in fourth gear actually. I don't know why the pressure is doing that. In theory, I should be able to switch gears without stopping the motor, because that's the same situation as if your rear wheels are spinning the back of the transmission, because they are permanently connected here, you know, and the clutch is disengaged because there's nothing in the front of the transmission. So that's exactly the same situation. You're going downhill, or you're switching between third and fourth gear or whatever gears, and your clutch is disengaged. So you should be able to switch gears without turning off the motor. So I can try actually. I'm going first. There you go. First, second, third, and fourth. I'm not gonna try reverse, don't worry. Alright, so I'm gonna let it run for 10 minutes maybe until it gets to operating temperature, and then we're gonna actually measure the RPM and see if the overdrive does something or not. Actually, now that it is in fourth gear, I can see if it changes the sound. Yeah, it actually changed. It takes a while. Okay, it changes the sound, which means that it's working, but again, we're going to measure the RPM. Alright, so the overdrive is disengaged now, and it's been running for about 10 minutes now, and it's nice and warm. And I also stuck some reflective tape over here, so I can measure the RPMs. And now if we measure the RPM here, I don't know if you see it. Yeah, you can see it. So that's 1490, almost 1500 RPM. 1496. Okay, let's say 1500 RPM. And then we go to the other side. And of course, we have 1500 here as well. Let's see what's going to happen if we engage the overdrive though. So now the overdrive is engaged. And now it started dropping. Do you see it? $1210. Okay, I need to be able to stabilize my hand. There you go. So 1200 RPM. So my son Nick is gonna go and disengage the overdrive now, and we're gonna see how this is gonna change here. Yeah. Okay. And right away it increased. Engage it again, and it takes a while for the input shaft to slow down. So 1210. Can you see me there?
Like your face?
Yeah. No. Okay. But can you see the entire setup here? Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's it. If you divide 1500 by 1200, that's what? Alexa, what is 1500 divided by 1210?
1500 divided by 1210 is approximately 1.2397.
2397, so 1.24. So that's our overdrive ratio, 1.24. That's what you say, 1.239, something like that. Yeah. So everything works well, and I'm happy because I don't need to take it apart. This means that this little project is complete. So thanks for watching, guys. I know that it was a little bit boring series, a lot of transmission work and overdrive. Actually, there wasn't much overdrive work because we just switched it. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and subscribing. Thanks for supporting the channel on Patreon and via PayPal. And if you are not Patreon yet and you wish to become one, you can follow the link in the description. And that link is going to take you to my Patreon page where you can see 3 different ways to support me monthly. But if you don't want a monthly subscription, you can also do a one-time donation to via PayPal to elin.yakov@rustybeauties.com. You can also send e-transfer to that email if you are in Canada. Again, but you don't need to do that in order to get access to all my videos because that access is free. The financial support doesn't buy you anything. It's only a way to say thank you if you feel like it. If you don't support me financially, you're still a valued subscriber and follower to this channel, and I appreciate you being here, watching, sharing, commenting and all this good stuff. So with that said, guys, let me sign off and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.